What's up and welcome back. I'm Eric. This is Panther Performance, and today I'm going to show you the exhaust of my 2000 Mercury Grand Marquis. So let's get into it. So as a disclaimer and for an apology, I honestly thought I would be able to track down the links for you guys to get the parts, the headers, and the Xpipe. But unfortunately, I cannot locate the Xpipe that went with this setup. Now, it's pretty basic and pretty simple when it comes to the Xpipe. It's any Xpipe for shorty headers that for a SN95 or New Edge Mustang would fit the headers. It's just that particular flange and the location for the headers you need that Xpipe. You could get one from BBK, UPR, any of the companies, but you're going to end up spending more than I spent on mine. I'll get into it at the end of the video, how much I spent, but you're not going to find these parts for that price. You're not going to find a competitive part for that price. The shorties, I can find you for a little more than I spent, but nothing too crazy. But the shorties are kind of nothing without the Xpipe and vice versa. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that link in the description for the headers at least. But, you know, that's the best I can do. Another thing that I'm going to point out and say is I put these headers on the engine before I put the engine in the car. So you guys might run into one issue, but I can show you how to solve that problem. But that's if you decide to go this route. So I'm going to show you the driver's side first, which was the easy side, or would be the easy side. And then I'm going to show you the passenger side, which would be a little bit of a headache. So let's get to that. So here you got the driver's side. I mean, it pretty much clears everything. It clears the steering shaft and all that. Bolts down nicely down there. Your EGR is going to bolt up nice. You're going to have no issues on the driver's side. So, you know, that's the heads up there. Let me show you the passenger side though. So over here we have the passenger side. Now, if you can see it, let me see if it zooms in better. So your fuel line here is very close to the header. It doesn't touch and it doesn't heat up the fuel, but it's there. So getting that header in there with the engine in the car might be a bit of a bear, but I would say move this wire out the way here, which is the positive cable wire for the battery. You pull that up and out, remove these fuel lines and remove that bracket down there and loosen the fuel lines from underneath the car. And that should pull the fuel lines out of the way temporarily so you can go ahead and put the passenger side header in there. An easier way would maybe be do all that and lift this one side of the engine out with a jack. But the easiest way probably would be to pull the whole engine out of the car. So I can apologize for making it seem easier than it really is. But again, I put the engine together outside of the car with the headers on there and threw everything in at once. So, you know, it's however you want to tackle the job. So up top, we are going to have your issue is going to be on the passenger side header. However, on the bottom, the passenger side Xpipe clears very nicely. You're not going to have any issues there. You got your O2 sensors. They're both going to fit. They're both going to line up nicely. Not going to get in the way of anything. Transmission case, the pan is clearing the header pretty well. And all the way down to the Xpipe, to the cap back. The cap back, you're going to need to bridge the 2.5 inch Xpipe to the 2-inch muffler. If you continue to use that, I mean, you could always go bigger, but, you know, I use the factory setup on my end. So that could work for you. And I mean, that's the passenger side. So we're all good there. Let me go ahead and show you the driver's side. That's going to give you the most issue. So here's your driver's side. Now, what you have is the issue I'm having, which you would have as well, is the downpipe for the Xpipe actually hits the frame. Now, an easy way to fix that would also fix the second issue that I had, and that is the steering
shifter linkage
is going to hit the O2 sensor if it's installed. The downpipe, the downflow O2 sensor. The second one, that's not really even needed. So, you know, I put a cap on it, and you know, my rear O2 sensors are turned off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that could be problematic for you if you want to run the second O2. A good way to solve that issue, as well as the steering, the downpipe hitting the frame, would be cut a section out of the Xpipe here, and you could actually just cut it. I say cut it here and here, and then shorten the amount of pipe. That would actually bring that up higher, and then you can easily just turn this O2 bung this way and install it like that. That'll work fine. The reason that I chose to leave it this way for now is I'm putting the 5.4 engine in there, and that's actually going to lift up the entire exhaust system, and it's going to pull that off of the frame. So I'm not too concerned with it right now. When I do go back later with the Built 4.6, which is the plan, I'm going to put a totally different exhaust system in here, so it's really not going to matter where I go there. The other issue is, it's not really an issue. I don't have a problem with it, but some might, is your tranny pan is very close to this part of the Xpipe, and it might overheat the transmission. I've driven this car for 2 hours on end and have never had an issue with an overheating transmission. So, I mean, that can be up for, you know, your own discretion, really, but I don't have a problem with it. But that's that. And again, you know, you got your downpipe. Your Xpipe is going to meet to your cat back, and you got to bridge that, you know, the same on this side. So that's pretty much the exhaust system in a whole. So let's talk about pricing.
Okay, the best that I found for headers, which are the same ones that I ordered, the same ones that I had, was the DNA Motoring 4.62 valve headers from a website called Pro Tuning Lab. I will put the link in the description to make it easier for you guys. But if you see down here, it's $159.45, so $160, and that's just for the shorties, which is, you know, actually about what I paid for mine, you know, 10 years ago, actually. But yeah, it's surprising that they're still that cheap and pretty easy to be found. Let's see what's going on with the Xpipe.
So that was my exhaust system. You know, never mind the little bit of tangy sound you hear coming from the exhaust. I do have a bit of an exhaust leak, but it's not from the product, really. It's I bought a Felpro gasket, header gasket, when I put the headers on. I should have went copper and probably reused the factory ones if I could, but I don't know what happened to those gaskets when I tore the engine apart. They might have got scrapped. I still can't find them to this day. I found 3 of them, but you know, I don't know. So that's why my exhaust does sound like that now, and it didn't 3 years. That was 3 years ago, but my exhaust does not sound as good as it once did. But once I get the exhaust, you know, the gasket fixed, that's going to be fine. I'm probably not going to do it, though, because I am going to pull the engine and put the 5.4 in there, like I've said. So, you know, I'll put the new gaskets. I'll go get Ford Racing, you know, gaskets when I put it on, and I'm never going to have that issue again, hopefully. So, but when it came to the Xpipe and the headers, I paid $300 total for both parts. Now, my headers were $125 10 years ago. From where, I don't exactly remember, but I do know they were DNA headers, brand new in the box. They were for a previous project that I either parted out or sold in a hole. I don't know exactly which one it was, but I had a few of them. So I had already gotten rid of the car, and I just kept the headers because they were brand new in the box, and the guy didn't take the headers with the car. So I just kept them, and they were sitting in my garage for years. And then, you know, during the pandemic, I decided I wanted to vamp up my car a little bit, and I had the headers. So I tracked down the Xpipe, which was $175 from eBay at the time during the pandemic. And it was $300 for the entire setup. And then obviously I did some, you know, backyard custom work to make the tailpipes, the catback fit the Xpipe. But it worked, and it worked fine. So you guys might not be able to find those parts for as cheap as I did, or even at all at this point, because I couldn't find a suitable source for the Xpipe to give you guys anything. I really wish I could. You know, I promised a lot with the video, but, you know, maybe I could have spent a couple more weeks trying to get everything in order and make it, you know, as the best I can. But I did promise you guys to have something out by this week. So that's what I did. I made a promise, and I got to keep it. You know, I got to deliver on that promise. So the best advice I could give you when tracking down those parts would be check your forums, check Craigslist, eBay, local ads, junkyards even. You can check swap meets and car shows. Buddies, you know, they might have it, don't even realize they got it, and, you know, just ask around. You'd be surprised. But yeah, I can't give you any better advice. I wish I could. Another thing I can recommend is going to your local muffler shop and just simply asking them if they can build you a mid-pipe. They probably do it for pretty cheap. I mean, depending on where you're at, but you might be able to get it anywhere from $200 to $350. And then that's a bit pricey, but it's a lot better than $700, you know, for the Xpipe, you know. So I went with it, $300, because it's cheaper than just a set of headers for those cars. You know, Cook's headers are like $600 just for the headers, and then you got to get the whole exhaust system. So I did everything for $300, and I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it. So it might work out for you to go that route. You know, it worked out for me. As far as power goes, I can't say definitively if one thing did more than the other, for the simple fact that I did everything at once. But I will say this: the factory exhaust system on those particular Panthers are 1 7/8 inch inner diameter, and the Xpipe is 2.5 inches inner diameter. So that's a decent amount more flow coming through. And the same will go for the logs. Those logs go less than the 1 7/8 inch, you know, in the actual diameter of the log itself. And the primaries are very tiny. They're decent sized primaries. And, you know, even the collector's 2.5 inches. So it did something for flow. Absolutely, hands down. People will tell you that shorty headers don't do anything and all that, and they're not worth it and stuff like that, and it's just a sound mod or whatever the case is. But I've never subscribed to that. And I'll also point out that I've been to the track and I've seen a stock header car go against a stock manifold car against a shorty header car, and the shorty header car drug the manifold car. Now, it could be driver, it could be, you know, something else done to the car. You know, we could chalk it up to a lot of stuff. But trust me, you're going to be, whether it's just a sound mod or not, you're going to enjoy it. So, you know, just if you want to try it, you try it out. My channel is a do-it-yourself, grassroots budget thing. And if I've done it, it works. So I'm going to tell you it works, to go ahead and do it. You know, take what I say with a grain of salt, obviously, because, you know, I put up with things that somebody else might not put up with, and my standards might be lower than somebody else's. But, you know, if I was doing it for a customer, I would absolutely do it the right way, and I wouldn't say anything otherwise. Like I said, if I do it to my own car and I put my kids in it, I'd recommend it for somebody else. So, that was my exhaust, you know, in all its glory. And I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope it helped you out. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your time.